The message I hope I will give to musicians is to just remain persistent, and even if even if it's a song that may be hard, eventually it will get easier. And I've learned this: practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes better. So none of us will ever be perfect. We can always strive to get better and better. And there's always an area in life to grow in. And rely on your drum community, enjoy your drum community, and they're there to uplift you. You're there to uplift them. Have good times together, hang out, and just enjoy the journey. That'd be my message, I hope.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Old Music Matters Net podcast. I'm your host, Brian. Joining me today, Shawn Woodley. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. How are you doing, Brian?
Not too bad. And you're actually a student of Earl Bennett, right?
Yes.
I guess, how'd you two meet?
Well, I met him through YouTube. I found him through the 5 basic drum beats for church. And I started asking him questions about different things that I had to play in church. And eventually it led into taking lessons from him, and I've been taking lessons from him ever since.
Oh, that's so sweet, too. The Earl of Florida. That's actually the nickname I wanted to give him now. It was either that or Earl of Bennett, but I wasn't too sure, to be honest. But shout out to Earl Bennett right there. Love you, brother. And I guess, where are you currently hailing from right now?
Right now, I'm currently in Columbus, Georgia. I was born here. And it's pretty much home to me.
Oh, really? I was going to say, do you guys do like remote learning, or have you ever been down to his place to do any practice sessions?
Right now, it's through Messenger, but I wanted to take a trip to his house in Florida, but that's before COVID hit, and when COVID hit, that changed that.
I see. All right. I actually did. I'm sure you did see my interview with him too, but at least just a small bit that I was seeing, it looked like it was a pretty cool studio too, and he kind of went into detail about it, as well as like renting out the studio to any musician to want to come in and record music there too. So I think you're in for a nice treat when you go down there too. So hope you guys get together soon.
Also too, I can't wait.
All right. So welcome to my podcast here, buddy. Just to kind of fill you in, we just like to ask some questions, get to know Shawn both as the musician, but also as the individual. So, got some questions here for you. You ready?
Ready.
All right. So, the first question is, who is Shawn Woodley? How did he become the drummer he is today?
Okay. How I became the drummer I am today is because one Sunday at church, the few of the other musicians, they left, life. They go to different places, relocate. And the minister of music, which is the drummer at my grandparents' church, he just told me, he said, "Shawn, you're playing drums." I'm like, okay. So I started playing, I started loving it, and now I'm 6 years in.
Oh, sweet. Congratulations, bud. That just threw you right on the spot, too. It was just like, Shawn, get on drums. Was it sort of like that? It was like,
yeah.
What?
That's it. It wasn't like, do you want to play? It's like, no, Shawn, you're getting on drums. And the interesting part is drums run in my family. My grandma plays drums and my mom plays drums.
Oh, really? It's not the dad? Normally, they would say it's the dad who plays drums.
He probably skipped him.
He probably snuck in every now and again.
Right.
Actually, the reason why is because my dad, he actually played bass for a good while. And a couple times I took bass lessons, but I never really got into it, and it's only recently I'm trying to get back into it. So, but drums was just something I picked up on my own. So it was just something you loved later, and I was so happy I picked it up, and also getting able to interact with drummers in around the world and even in the States too. So I guess talk about your kit. Is it nearby by any chance, or is it in a different room?
It's in a different room, but I have a Pervy kit. It's a 5-piece kit, And I also have like Zildjian cymbals. I have a Zildjian Crash and a Zildjian Ride and Sabian hi-hats.
I see. Is this the current kit you've been rolling with, or have you jumped around with a couple of different ones?
It's the current kit I have. I tried the electric kit. It wasn't for me because the main reason why I got it was because at the church we had an electric kit, so I just decided to try it out. And I just sold it to the local music shop in my city probably about like a month ago.
I see. Actually, yeah, we can't have the acoustic set drowning out the choir and everything else. I guess, is the choir at your church, are they pretty lively?
They are.
I always say that too because I know you can kind of blame like maybe the movies at some points when they show African American church choirs.
Yes.
I think there was one in the Forrest Gump movie too, but yeah, lively, full of energy too. And I gotta give you guys credit. You know how to do a mass. I'll tell you that much. You guys know how to do a mass. But I guess talk about that electric kit. I guess what was it? Was it like an Alesis Roland?
Yes, it was an Alesis Nitro, and I love that it had like different sounds on it. So you could change it from like a rock kit to a jazz kit, almost the bongos. That was the cool side of it. But I just didn't like the dynamics because I could hit it as hard as I can, and I could just barely tap in and still sound the same.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see why that would be one of the downsides too. The biggest plus, I would say, was more like tuning wise. I know the dynamics is what you said too, in terms of like changing sounds. So those are definitely like the plus, I guess. Have you ever considered maybe combining an electric set with your current acoustic set? Maybe make something out of it? I don't know if you want to use like the electric set for like percussion and stuff like that.
That's a great idea. I might have to try that one day, bro.
I guess, do you still have that electric set or did you ditch it?
I sold it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Well, I see. No worries there. I can understand why. But it would be an idea because I know people use like some sort of touchpads at times. And then it's normally meant to like incorporate different sounds, but it kind of saves you from buying all sorts of different stuff.
Yes.
Make like the satellite set that what you see like Neil Peart and some other drummers use. So it's one of the things I always like to ask, but it seems like that'd be something you would do down the road.
Yeah. Oh, I seen Mr. Earl do it before in a few of his drum covers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I was trying to think. Actually, no. The one he actually showed me was is a Kansas cover of "Carry On Wayward Son." I actually did a couple versions of that, but that was just more of your standard acoustic set, and it was all in front of you. I never saw him like turn around, like maybe try to do something like that. I have to probably dig for those. But I guess what sort of drumsticks do you play with?
I mostly play with Pro Mark and Vic Fifth.
Vic Firth? I guess, is it like a 5A or a 5B?
I like the 5B because I like a little bit more weight on the stick. Because when I use 5As, it's a little bit too light for me. So that's how I ended up using that, and I love the fire grains.
I see what you mean. All right, so let's jump into your podcast a little bit, and I guess walk us through it, because you also interviewed Earl on that. I guess who else have you had on it? I guess what's your podcast about?
Okay. My podcast is about interviewing people and knowing their personal lives as well as them as a musician. And I've had a drummer named Curtis Fondridge. He's a drummer for like Tremaine Hopkins, Dionne Warwick, and a few other people. He's one of my favorite drummers. And I've also had Jay Latoya. She used to play for Music Soul Child. She was on the show, as well as Mr. Earl. And recently, it's a drummer. Her name is Princess Pocket. And she plays for a lot of quartet gospel groups. And she is an amazing drummer. So that's pretty much what the show is about. Just interviewing extraordinary people, doing extraordinary things. Yeah.
And what was the name of it?
Behind the Music.
Behind the Music, okay. And I guess what made you want to like start doing a podcast?
What made me want to start doing a podcast was I wanted to do something bigger than me, and I wanted to do something that could actually have an impact on people, because at the time I was just doing drum covers, but I said I want to kind of interview people and hear their stories because I love reading magazines and interviews of people. So I said, why don't I just have a podcast where I'm able to ask people those questions? So me, my brother, and one of my friends, we all got together. My brother was a co-producer, and my friend was a producer, and he produced the song I have on the show. And he did all the editing. I recently started doing the editing myself and the production side.
I see. That's a good group of friends you got there, and cheers to your brother too for helping out. I guess have you only stuck it to posting on YouTube right now, or if you tried to expand to like other sorts of streaming channels? Because I try to use Anchor. I haven't used it a whole lot recently, so I gotta get back into using that. But I guess what do you use?
I mostly use Facebook. I've tried YouTube, but mostly Facebook is easier for me because I can just tag whoever I interview in the page. I mean, in the post. Sorry.
I see what you mean. Yeah. Facebook's a little 50-50 with me because normally it's just for me, just like wanting to share what I post on YouTube. And after that, it's just kind of tagging people who came on. And I see what you mean. And social media is just like a whole different beast in and of itself. So to each his own. So I can see why. And I guess you got anybody else lined up for your podcast coming on?
Well, next person I wanted to interview, he's a local keyboard player in Columbus. His name is Deron Moore, and he plays keyboard in Florida as well as a few other places. And that's pretty much all I have so far, but I'm open to whoever would like to come on the podcast, even you, if you would like to come on the podcast one day. You're welcome, Brian.
Eventually. I got a lot of interviews lined up too, but it would be nice. Actually, I would be nice. I'll take you up on that.
Okay.
I guess talk about your YouTube channel a little bit. Did you start recently, or have you been kind of rolling with it, just kind of been in and out of it?
I've had it for like a year. I don't really push the YouTube channel as much as I do Facebook. But with the YouTube channel, I mostly put like drum covers where I love the message of the song and I love the groove, and I just put it up there for fun.
Oh, I see. Do you mostly just stick with your podcast and drum covers every now and again?
Yes.
The reason why I asked, I just didn't know if people... Drum covers, it tends to be like a saturated market, depending on if it's an artist... Well, maybe it's more of the artists, like they know who that artist is, like Michael Jackson, or the classic rock ones with Rush and stuff like that. So obviously you have to like branch out and do newer songs people have maybe not heard of, and then try to see if you could just wow them with your experience. But I guess have you tried experimenting with like any other sort of like content, like vlogs and stuff like that?
I've never tried vlogs.
No?
I've tried Instagram, and I've recently tried TikTok.
Did you? I backed away from TikTok. I still have it, but I've never been on it too much, and I kind of wish I get more used to it too, because that seems to be what it's like. It's one of those things everybody's using it nowadays. So, like I said, social media is a whole different beast. So, it's pretty much based on taste. So, either way, I guess. Is there something like you hope to achieve with your YouTube channel?
Like I said before, with the YouTube channel, I'm really just doing it for fun if I love the messages. But I mostly push Facebook because it's something I call drum community. Well, I learned that term from Mr. Earl, and I recently met a few drummers, and one guy became my Facebook friend. Me and him, we still talk and like be able to share stories about equipment, and he gives me tips, I give him tips. So that's more where I'm at now, and that's kind of where I found my drum community at, was Facebook. So that's kind of where I just stuck with it.
You should have to come on and hang out with all the other drummers we got in our community too, because we're a bunch of, I would say, middle class guys who are just doing it for fun. I mean, that's what we do, and we range different ones. I tend to be more on the heavy metal kind of side too. Have you played any sort of heavy metal before, or have you just stuck with gospel, jazz, and blues, that kind of music?
I mostly stuck with like gospel, jazz, and blues. I recently started learning realistic rock with Mr. Earl, so it kind of gave me a whole different how would I put it?
Perspective.
Different, yes, different perspective. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah. Two minds make alike. Two minds make alike. That's good. A different perspective of like how this sort of
and
music is done, to say the least.
and then I never knew like how much rock influences a lot of different styles of music. So it gave me a lot more respect for rock drummers.
You know, it always seems like rock was always influenced by like the blues and jazz of the time because it seemed like in the 60s that's what like most bands were going to, even like the ones who would later become like the big names these days, like Jethro Tull, and I think even Black Sabbath kind of start off as blues, and then it just happened to work their way into the classic rock sort of music. Sometimes either quite by accident or just whether it was something the audience was digging, and they just wanted to go out there and just do it. So I see what you mean. It's good to branch out. So I guess was there ever a song that you tried that was way too hard for you to do as a drum cover, and you just gave up, or you either came back later and tried again?
Yeah, it was one song. Have you ever heard of Crystal Lewis?
I swear, every time I hear a name, it sounds familiar, but it's not coming to me right now. But go ahead.
She's a contemporary Christian singer. She had a song called "At the Cross," and that song, I thought I had it right, and Mr. Earl critiqued me on it. He sent me a message, said, "Shawn, that wasn't right." So I waited like almost a whole year and redid the drum cover, and actually, he said, "Okay, that was right." So that's one time where I had to kind of take a step back because it was like one of those like it's like a tricky rock groove. And it took me that long to get it.
It took a year.
Not really a year. It took me probably like about 2 months,
Okay.
but I didn't want to look like that guy that I failed it and then I tried to put out another cover, so I waited a year.
Yeah, I was just gonna think you put out the wrong cover and be like everybody criticizing you in the comments now. Oh my gosh, it's absolute mayhem right now in the comments.
Right.
I can see why. So, and God bless Earl. He was at least brutally honest, but honesty is a good thing. That's a good thing too. So,
I'd rather someone be honest than to just watch me fail. They just let me sink out there.
well, I know that's also the same thing because my parents help out with some of the stuff I do, and they'll critique me on it. And sometimes, be honest, did it really hurt when he gave you that honest opinion?
It did. I thought I did pretty good, and a few other people liked it, but I guess he has those veteran ears, and he just picked up on it and said it wasn't right.
Yeah, I know. The ego deflates, and then it's like, what? I put my heart and soul into that thing. So
That's the way I felt, right?
I see what you mean too. So, but I think that's also a problem with perfectionism too. And you could probably say it's also bias, for instance. But did you ever suffer from like perfectionism as a drummer? Like you felt like I gotta do that again, even if it was just like a simple mistake.
That's me every drum cover. If I miss one lick in the song, I'm starting it over. But I learned not to be that critical when I'm actually playing with other musicians because you don't want to be that guy that's like, wait, to start over. Then nobody can enjoy the song. But for my drum covers, I'm still like that.
I see. Have you ever played in any groups, or have you just stuck with mostly doing church music?
I'm mostly stuck with doing church music. I played for like a few churches. I played for a church in Columbus called Asbury back in 2018 with my friend Dwayne, who produced some of my podcasts. I was under him, and then I'm also playing for my grandparents' church, and I've been playing for them ever since 2016. And I recently joined my friend's church, which is Hope Springs, and I've been there since 2019.
Oh, so you jumped around a little bit. So
A little bit, yes.
I see. I was gonna say three churches. Man, you're keeping yourself busy on Sunday.
I used to play at three churches. I'm only down to two churches now.
Weren't they supposed to rest on Sunday? Isn't that how it goes?
Oh yeah, I wasn't following that rule.
No, we weren't. We're drummers. We tend to break that rule every now and again. So I see what you mean too, and good on you too. Keep it up, bud. Uh, so what is it you love most about drumming?
What I love most about drumming is the community side of it. You get a chance to meet people that you usually may not have ever crossed paths with, and it also gives you a chance to practice on being a team player because I've learned over the years that drumming is a team effort, and we're all supposed to lock in, especially the rhythm section, lock in with the bass player. And I've learned that music is a language, and as long as we're all speaking the language, then we can really create great music.
Absolutely. And have you also found it therapeutic at times? Because
Yes.
I'm not sure what your day job is or anything like that. So I imagine you've gone through a couple of stressful days and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I love about music, especially had a hard day at work. First thing I want to do is just hop on the kid.
That's our therapy session. the
Yes.
the therapist. There we go. That's our therapist. All right, that's good to hear. And I guess walk us through your process of doing a drum cover. So you picked a song. What sort of gear do you use to record it? Then what do you use to edit it before you upload it to any of your social media channels?
I use Moises, so that way I can take the drummer of the song out and I can really lock in with the band and hear what is the band doing. And then I use that on my tablet. And I also use a mixer. It's the B Ringer X mixer. And it's a 6 channel one. And I also use the B Ringer 5-inch power monitor speaker. And I edit it in UCut on my phone.
You do it all on your phone. I was gonna say I always do mine on my computer here with Final Cut Pro. So the phone
I,
is taking over. It's our small computer nowadays.
you're right.
I don't know. It's swallowing me up. I think I try not to let technology take over, but unfortunately, I find myself slowly being consumed by it. And I think I you kind of notice that too.
Oh yeah, especially when it comes to buying gear. Like it's easy to get consumed by it because you're always looking like, man, this just came out. The Peisty ride just came out. The light ride just came out. The heavy ride just came out. And you start buying it. And I looked in my room and I got boxes on boxes stacked up, and I was like, yeah, maybe I need to slow down a little bit.
I think we just need to take a step back here and just relax a little bit. So
Yeah.
otherwise, we're gonna fill up the room with too much drum stuff at this point. So I guess let's see. Who would you consider has been your biggest influences?
Hmm. That's a good question, Brian. My biggest influences, I could probably narrow it down to 5 people. One would be the minister of music at my grandpa's church. His name is Eric Lane. He gave me a lot of wisdom on the drums as well as off the drums. And that's why I consider him a big influence because he taught me that drumming is a team effort. And he taught me that drumming is an art. And don't be quick to listen sometimes. Don't be quick to play. Sometimes sit back and listen to what is going on in the song before you play and then approach the song. Second would be Mr. Earl. Mr. Earl, I watched him with his talk show, and that's kind of where my inspiration for Behind the Music came from. Was from Ask Earl Anything and Drum Talk. I watch it every Saturday. Be at work trying to sneak and have my headphones on and work and listen to the show. And also, Mr. Earl, he's probably one of the most versatile drummers I've ever met. So he can play any genre, and it sounds like he's been playing it his whole life. So when I do drum covers, I try to branch out and do other genres, and it gives me more than one way to approach songs. Third person would be Curtis Fondrich, the drummer for Christ Capalgan, and Dionne Warwick and Tremaine Hawkins. And reason why I say him too, because we also have a friendship outside of just music, and I'm able to call him up or text him. Me and my girlfriend are supposed to meet him. Well, sorry, fiance now, supposed to meet him next summer in Chicago. And with him, he's just so smooth with it. Like his hi hat feels are crazy in the way he throws the hi hat licks in, and he's able to play gospel jazz and as well as jazz and R&B, and he's a really versatile drummer too. So I picked up his hi hat feels and gospel jazz licks from him. And the fourth one will be Jay Latoya Hester, the drummer who used to be playing for Music Soul Child. For one thing I love about her is she said that she wants to create a musical picture, and she's really heavy on dynamics. Like a song can start here, she used certain feels in a verse, chorus, bridge, and that's one thing I took from her is my dynamics and making sure I paint a musical picture and don't use the best licks that you've heard, but use licks that fit the song and feels that fit the song, and really be respectful of the song when you're playing. And fifth person would be a drummer in my town called Doug Jeffco. And he really took me in under his wing too. At the time I was playing in the man school band, and he was playing in a cover band for like different 60s rock songs and like different 60s R&B, like Otis Redding. I would sit back and watch him play those songs on Saturdays, and he taught me how to chart my songs out. So instead of trying to relearn a song over and over, just chart it, and you can go back and look at it and you can refresh yourself, because at the time they were playing like set lists of 10, 12 songs, so you can't memorize 10 to 12 songs per set. So make a list of it, and that's what I took from him, is to make sure that I have that, and make sure that you are the heartbeat of the band and you are the rhythm section. So make sure that you keep everybody locked in and you're a team player.
So that's quite an extended list. I'm sorry, what did you say there?
Oh, I said that's my top 5. What were you saying, bro?
No. I was going to say that's quite an extensive list too. And I did see your Facebook post, so I want to congratulate you, bud.
Thank you.
No worries. Sorry, I guess where'd you propose to her at?
Carrabba's. It's an Italian restaurant in Columbus, and I invited her family and my family, and she didn't know what was going on until I came out with the ring and got on one knee, and she cried for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, they don't know what's going on. So it's like a different version of Christmas too. It's like, it's a nice little gift for you, honey. And I guess, so where'd you get the dime, or where'd you get the ring at? Did you get it from Jared's?
Yeah, I got it from Jared's.
Okay. Congratulations, everybody. At least we know he's not going to be single anymore, so wish you all the best in marriage going forward there, buddy. God bless you. And I guess I was going to say, there was a drummer I actually interviewed recently, and Matthew Jackson, his YouTube name is a CCM drummer. He covers a lot of Christian contemporary music, and he plays open-handed too. I guess, do you play open-handed as well, or do you do more of the cross style?
I used to play open-handed, and I think it was pretty cool. I bring it out every now and then, but I think it gives you a lot more versatility, cause especially if you can play cross and open-handed, it gives you like a whole nother set of feels you can do, or licks you can do.
I could say why, yeah, especially if you... It's hard doing like the cross pattern if you want to try to hit maybe your toms and stuff like that. Yeah. Because obviously it's easier when the left hand's here and then just like and stuff like that. So I could say why. In fact, I really credit Matthew for talking about it more. I should say he really talked about it, because at times when I play the heavy metal, it's real fast and everything too. It's better to do the open-handed style because then it's easier to transition and stuff like that. So I can see why. So I recommend him too. You can go check him out too. He's a real cool dude. And yeah, she gave me a shout out recently because he was talking about other. He talked about channels who do like promotion kind of stuff. Because I know a friend of mine, Ash Wells, he does a drum radar. That's what it was. I was gonna almost say under the radar, but drum radar. And it talks about drummers who have small channels and just trying to like make it up. And he gives them a promotional boost and stuff like that. But he also does interviews, maybe not exactly podcasts, but it's along lines of interviews and stuff like that. So he gave a nice little shout out. Going back to what Matthew was doing, he gave a nice shout out, but he forgot yours. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to reach out and correct him too. Just say, like, I'm Shawn. I got me a nice little podcast going too. So recommend you check it out. So
I follow him on YouTube.
do you?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't sure, so I'm sorry. I probably should ask, did you know him? Instead
It's
of going on a
okay.
little rambling rant. But yeah, actually, I found out about him just a couple months ago, so I was actually pretty happy I was able to reach out to him too. He is a nice dude, so. I think we jumped through a good number of questions already, so I think now. All right, let's jump into some fun questions here. All right.
Okay.
So, I have to ask, do you drink?
No, I used to, but no, not anymore.
No. I guess what's your favorite non-alcoholic beverage?
Dr. Pepper.
You're a doctor? Oh, man. Yes.
All my life has been Dr. Pepper.
Did you ever say, trust me, I'm a doctor?
I never heard that one.
They've done it in the commercials a couple times. In fact, there was a. I know they've done a couple with Gene Simmons from Kiss when he was in there. There was a Dr. Pepper Cherry, and then there was one. It was like, trust me, I'm a doctor. And then they did it with a couple other guys too, but I know the big ones were with Gene Simmons showing in them too. But that was one of the big lines they said. So they changed it recently. I don't even know if they do a whole lot of advertising for Dr. Pepper anymore, which is kind of a shame because I still love it.
I think they do. It was a guy. I guess he was mocking Prince. He said he's the sweet one. Yeah,
Oh, that's Little Sweet. Yeah, Little Sweet.
yeah, sweet. Yeah, I think that's Dr. Pepper.
I think, no, his is Diet. That's what it is. It's still Dr. Pepper, but it's the Diet one, I think.
Yeah, diet's not safe for me. I need the real Dr. Pepper.
We need the sugary, high calorie, and the completely unhealthy drink. Well, we should probably, well, the diets are pretty much unhealthy, so maybe we should say the mid unhealthy sort of drink. So, to be fair. All right. Which drum cover did you love the most that you've played so far in your social media and YouTube career?
Hmm. The drum cover that I love the most probably would be. That's a question I had to really think hard about it. It's a song called "Walk by Faith" by Mackay Smith, and I reason why that's one of my favorites is because at that time in my life, I kind of needed to really encourage myself. So I had to play a song called Walk by Faith. And whenever I listen to it now, it kind of reminds me of where I was at in that place.
I see. I always feel bad because there's only there's so many artists out there, but there's so little time to actually try to absorb it in. So I'm sorry if I don't know many of the artists you are mentioning too, but I'm sure exceptional group and as well as exceptional people too. So I guess what song have you been listening to a lot recently that you would consider your favorite song?
Hmm. That's hard. I listen to a lot of songs on Spotify. To narrow it down to one. Uh, I'm gonna have to really take like a moment to think about that.
I guess do you have like a long playlist on Spotify?
Yeah, I have like 7 different playlists of different genres. Right now, the song that I listen to the most, it'll be by William Dibbs. It's called Everything, where it talks about like um, God and his relationship with God, and just letting him know that God's one of the most important things in his life. And he basically It takes a whole song to say, "You're my everything," and I wouldn't be where I'm at without you. And that's pretty much the whole song. So I try to listen to that every day or every other day, just to constantly remind myself of that.
That's beautiful. And there's actually a song that was kind of similar. It was from Lifehouse, and that was actually from their hit album, No Name's Face. And the song was actually called Everything too. And it wasn't really necessarily Christian per se, but it could be interpreted that way. But it could also be like the love song too. And the one lyric was "You are my everything," which was kind of similar to the song you had just mentioned. So good choice, I would say. Good choice. And I guess, have you watched a lot of TV recently, or have you kind of tried to stay away from that?
I watched a little bit of TV. I mostly watch like action shows when I'm not doing drum covers or practicing, or spending time with friends and family.
The reason why I asked, I was gonna say, do you have a favorite TV series you kind of got into?
Oh yeah. Lately, I've been into the show called La Brea.
La Brea? Oh yeah, that's the one. There's actually another world beneath the Earth's surface. Is that what it's about?
Yeah.
Pretty much. I think it was like Hallowed Earth or something like that. And I haven't watched it, but I at least knew what the premise was going on about. I guess how has it been?
It's good, bro. Like, if you watch the first episode, you're going to be hooked because with this show, they always keep you guessing. The moment you think you have it figured out, they throw something else in the storyline. It's
Keep you
just,
guessing.
yeah.
That,
And
that's good. Yeah. I'm sorry. What else were you gonna say?
I'll say, like, right at the part where it's like, I guess they would call it rise in action. Right at the rise in action part, that's when they cut it off. And you're like, really? Like, you could have let me see that little part of the show.
They leave you on a cliffhanger, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Actually, the show. I actually only watched a couple episodes. It was that House of the Dragon on HBO. I guess have you heard about it?
I haven't seen it, but I'll have to check it out.
As I brace yourself, you might have to go to confession later, especially with some of the graphic material they show in it too. In fact, we'll go into that. I'll let you decide. And
Okay.
so, just don't say I didn't warn you. It's gruesome at times. It's really not one that has not too much comedy in it, but it's at least an action one that will hold you in, that sort of thing. A political
Like,
thriller. Political thriller.
okay.
So that's why I recommend it. And I guess, did you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? I would say, okay, are we talking about like recent movies or old movies in general?
I guess any movie during your lifetime, from childhood that you still think about, or I guess even recently too. So I guess don't be afraid to branch out. I even think back to some like the old Disney Renaissance movies at times. I'm thinking like, man, I really miss those movies. So I guess what is your favorite movie? Or I guess was so.
I would say Fast and Furious. I haven't seen all of them. I've seen at least five of them out of nine. I love that series, and I love Spider-Man, all the Spider-Man movies. I just haven't seen the Andrew Garfield ones yet.
You like the ones with Tobey Maguire?
Yeah,
I have to laugh because they're doing so many memes about him, and I didn't even see like YouTube videos. It's like Tobey Maguire is like bullying like Emperor Palpatine, for instance. So I'm like, why is everyone picking on him? I thought he was a good actor for at least the three Spider-Mans he was in.
I mean, I think he's a good actor too. I've seen a few of those memes where I think it was like Toby, Andrew Garfield, and a new Spider-Man from Spider-Man Unlimited. They were pointing at each other saying, "I'm the real Spider-Man. No, I'm the real Spider-Man."
Oh yeah, and I think they actually brought him back in that recent Spider-Man movie. If it was like the multiverse or something like that. I guess have you watched that one yet or no?
Oh yeah, that was one of my favorite ones. Me and a couple of my friends, we went to see it. One of my friends, he liked it so much he paid for it three times in 2 weeks. I'm like, three times?
It made the box office a little bit more richer. So
Good.
good job, man. Good job. We're going to wait till at least came out on DVD or just rented on our TVs. So good on him. I guess Andrew Garfield, he was the recent actor to take up the Spider-Man mantle, right?
Um, I know it was Toby and then Andrew. I don't know the new guy's name that was in the one with the multiverse.
Hmm. I see. You know what? I actually saw a couple with like the old animated series way back when in the day. I was thinking like, I actually remember seeing a couple episodes, but I never really got into it, which was kind of a shame because it sounded like it was pretty good.
Which superhero did you watch growing up?
Uh, Thinking back on it with the cartoons, I actually do remember the Batman, and I have to give a shout out to Kevin Conroy, but may he rest in peace. He had recently passed, and he had voiced Batman, and he and Mark Hamill, it was like peanut butter and jelly. It was the two best actors you could have for a television show and later on a video game series. If there
Wait,
was
the
any two
game?
actors, Batman, they actually did a. It was called the Arkham series. So there was Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. I actually
Right.
played all three, and I was happy to beat all three. That was pretty fun. Even though I detested the Riddler of all the villains that came out of the Batman series. But getting back to your question,
Yeah,
I do remember Batman, some Superman. Actually, I forget what the TV show was, but it had the Legion of Doom in it.
I
And
know you're talking about now.
there was a Legion of Doom, and then it had, I guess it was the Justice League. I can't remember what the name is. Damn, that's gonna bug me now. So, but I think it had Justice League because it had Wonder Woman, it had Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, I think.
Yeah, Justice League.
Well, I don't know if it was. That's why I can't remember if it was. But you know, the other one I remember was Thundercats. Believe it or not,
Thundercats was before my time, but I seen one episode.
did you? I can't remember all the episodes, but I do remember watching it. I remember watching a little bit of He-Man, a little bit. Gosh, there was so much. I honestly can't tell you, but I couldn't tell you who really was my favorite. But I think Batman. They kind of wanted because I ended up buying the video games. They don't really do a Superman video game nowadays, so I feel like Batman. So to at least answer your question, Batman. Also, the one with our actor Michael Keaton. Batman.
Oh yeah, I like the old Batman over the new Batman. Have you seen the guy from Twilight that played it as Batman?
Really? Oh yeah, that's right. It was the one that came out this year. That's right. You know, I don't think anybody beats Christian Bale for the live action.
It wasn't the same.
After that, yeah, then it was Ben Affleck, and then it was him. I do remember that. Yeah, Christian Bale. That's right. The Dark Knight was probably one of the more better movies I've seen. And recipes to the Heath Ledger for playing the live action Joker. And not to get off topic, but at least in terms of the Joker, uh, I'd say for live action, Heath Ledger was the perfect one. But he can't beat Mark Hamill's voice, so
Oh yeah.
nobody can beat that. But I don't think he ever wants to do it as a live action version, even though we'd be like, we forgive you. But he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. So, and I guess did you answer? Did I ask if you had a favorite superhero?
Oh yeah, I said Spider Man was mine.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's right, Spider Man. Okay, sorry. All right, so get back into a serious question. I guess this one deals with COVID. I guess how bad did it impact you and your family and community?
COVID, it did affect us. It taught us to be more grateful because at that time, I believe I was taking lessons from Mr. Earl, and at that time, everything was shut down, and it really taught us to say, okay, once we get back together, this is what we've been taking for granted the whole time because the world never seen anything like COVID. Even at work, everything was shut down because I was working at a school at the time, and we didn't have any kids there, so uh, it almost felt like the end of the world. So once we got back together, it really makes me appreciate being around people. And hearing the interviews, Mr. Earl, about the drum community, I never knew how much it affected the drum community, not being able to play in it with other musicians. So that side of it too, it's nice to be able to get back and playing with people again instead of like just playing to yourself in a room.
In other words, we're playing in front of a wall. To be perfectly honest, instead of screaming at a wall. So I see, yeah, and I always tell a joke because my mom, she delved into crisis management. She had retired just before COVID was taken off in the States. And a lot of people told her, the day you retire is the day the world goes to shit. So,
Okay.
so needless to say, that's what happened. But we still love her nonetheless. I guess if there's... Actually, shoot, I lost my train of thought. Okay. I guess, did you have any questions for me or anything else before we jump to the last question?
Well, how did COVID affect you and your family?
You know, funny enough, I literally didn't get COVID till like 2.5 years later. I literally just felt it recently.
Wow. How
And
did you beat COVID through the whole 2 years?
I mean, at times it was lucky, but we got our shots when we needed to, and we kept our distance, but we were respectful. We wore masks when we needed to. Really, we really played it safe. We weren't going out there trying to be crazy, or as you see, like some people in the news saying, like, I don't need to wear a mask. I got my First Amendment rights, stuff like that. It was
I've heard.
nothing like that. So it was really just playing it safe. But unfortunately, we let it slide because we went down to Nashville, and that's what my shirt here is. It was a Music City, Nashville.
I had to get one of those shirts.
I think this one I think I got from the Ryman Auditorium, believe it or not. And I mean, we really had a killer time, but unfortunately, somebody, the thousands of people walking on the, I think it's Broadway, the street that runs through Nashville there, where all the bars and where all the bands play. Somebody had COVID, and they passed it on to us. So,
Oh man, that's
needless to say, we paid for it on our trip back home. So, it is what it is. But I mean, really, we just played safe. But to go back to your question, it felt weird because at times there were things you got scared about because you weren't sure like where the world was going or how crazy people were going to get. I think at times it made me a little bit more introverted because I realized I struggle with conversations. So that's why hopping on this podcast and interacting with people like you and everyone in the drum community I'm a part of, and hopefully I can interact with people in your drum community too. So it was strange looking back at it, but I think there was a little bit of fear at the time. So it's good to see there was some blessing in disguises with being able to branch out. That was the reason I got into YouTube and even doing this podcast later on. So it helped out with doing that. And then eventually being able to interact with people too. So that's basically what COVID does, but it's still here. So just hoping for the best going forward.
Right, sound like some blessings came out of it for you too.
Yeah, I guess, did it allow you to do anything new? I guess, did you try any new projects or did that allow you to get into YouTube?
Um, I really haven't tried any new projects for YouTube lately. The reason why I got into YouTube was pretty much so I could play different drum covers and I could actually see myself. Because it's one thing to play it and you don't have no way to record yourself versus actually hearing yourself and like, ah.
Did you get a call from somebody?
Yeah, I did. I had my phone on Do Not Disturb and a call still came through.
Okay. Nonetheless, pick up where you left off.
Okay. Where I left off was that I haven't really pushed YouTube lately. The only reason why I got into it was to pretty much record myself for the lessons that I was taking from Mr. Earl, and because I love the messages of the songs, and I could actually see myself play instead of just playing a song, and I don't record myself and then just turn around and play it, and I'm not sure how I sound until I get there.
I see. And you and Earl are definitely pretty close. And I know you mentioned him a good bit here, and it's good to see you put him as an influence too. So, like I said earlier in the podcast, let's hope you guys get together soon and jam out. Actually, it would be cool if you guys could do a drum battle together.
We talked about it one day, so I'm looking forward to it.
I see. All right. Did you have any other questions or anything you want to say before I jump to the last one?
You pretty much covered my whole life.
Yep. And up until this point. So, all right. So for the last question, this one I always like to ask because I think the answers tend to vary, even though they might be worded kind of same. But what sort of message of hope could you give to musicians out there?
The message of hope I will give to musicians is to just remain persistent, and even if even if it's a song that may be hard, eventually it will get easier. And I've learned this: practice doesn't make perfect, practice makes better. So none of us will ever be perfect. We can always strive to get better and better, and there's always an area in life to grow in. And rely on your drum community, enjoy your drum community, and they're there to uplift you. You're there to uplift them, have good times together, hang out, and just enjoy the journey. That'd be my message of hope.
Spoke out like a true prodigy. That's good to hear. And I wish you all the best of luck going forward there, Shawn. So, Shawn, we reached the end of my podcast right here. We covered all the questions. I guess, do you have any shout outs or anything you want to say before we officially close?
Sure. I wanted to thank you for having me on the show. I'm honored. When I got the message, I was like, man, this is an honor, because I was like, I'm really just starting out. And I wanted to give a few shout outs to mainly Mr. Earl, my drum mentor, Mr. Eric, Mr. Curtis, Jay Latoya, Doug Jeffco. I appreciate all the wisdom they've shared with me, and the wisdom definitely made me a better person. I'm grateful for being taught drums. I would have never met the people that I met, and thank God that it opened doors that I probably would have never thought would have been open for me. So I'm just grateful.
That's good to hear. God bless you, man, and good luck in your marriage.
Thanks, Ryan.
Picked a good one, I would say. You picked a good one. So, all right. Everyone, my guest today was Shawn Woodley, a student of Earl Bennett. Make sure you go and check out his channel, subscribe to his channel, check out his content, and also check out his podcast, Behind the Music. All right. Shawn, thank you again so much for coming on. Stay safe. Stay tuned, y'all.